Good morning. It's 9 o'clock in the Pacific time zone. This is the thumbnail and title for today's show. I do not expect that to change because I expect this show to pretty much be fully occupied with this topic. And if there's questions in chat, I'm probably not going to get to it today.
DougBot said I'm working here.
So I've got speakerbot confirmation on my own audio confirmation, and I have paused that video. So this how to install a new Windows 11 PC and transfer software from your old Windows 10 computer. Conventional wisdom says you can't do that. No, that can't be done, but well, yeah, you can. There's some issues to be aware of. Now, the reason why I'm going down this road today is from a conversation that came up yesterday in chat, and then that person gave me more on a video comment. Now, these comments that are outstanding here, I'm going to hold off on them and go straight into Greg's issue. John Miller's issue, I think I want to create a similar show like today with some information about this, but I have not used the Outlook Mail app enough to know the answer, but I'm very interested and I intend to do that soon. So here's what Greg M. has to say. Regarding my business client with Sage 50 Quantum Accounting, he told us about this in chat yesterday. Their current system is on a custom-built Intel Windows 10 system. During the show yesterday, you mentioned about imaging that system, build a new system, and back up the drivers on the new system, then restore the image of the Windows 10 system to the new system and restore the backed up drivers. I would still then have to do an in-place upgrade to Windows 11, yes, since the image restored will be Windows 10. The in-place upgrade to Windows 11 should still authenticate okay, yes, as long as that computer already activated its Windows 11 license that you installed it with. If you built the computer and did not apply license to that computer, then no, it's not going to activate because it's not going to carry the activation from the old Windows 10 computer into the newly built Windows 11 computer. So if you assign a license to the newly built computer, it can be Windows 10 or Windows 11. You could have installed Windows 11 and activated it with the Windows 10 license because that works. If the new system had Windows 11 already active, yes, right there. He's already said that. Am I missing anything here? So yeah, yes, you are missing some things. So that's what this show is about, is to present more detail about what to look out for. In the description of today's video, you might have to refresh your browser if you don't see this in the description of today's video. But there is this link to a Google Docs Microsoft Word document where you can see, whoops, we got Stormy over here. Whoop, I missed her. Sorry. You can download that right now and read along with this content that I'm displaying in Microsoft OneNote. And this here is just a copy of Greg's comment. The document that's in the Google Drive does not have this paragraph. It just starts right here. How to install a new Windows 11 PC and transfer software from your old Windows 10 computer. The word transfer is a little bit misapplied here, but it accomplishes the same effect. What I have here is sections titled Preparation, and then actions to take on the source computer, actions to take on the target computer. My intention during this show is to go through each of these and make comments about each of them so that a person could use this video to guide them through this process. Preparation. This is an important one here, in my opinion, and I always well, in some offices I don't still do this. But if you're approaching this with a client where you haven't been through this before many times and your client hasn't, then manage the client's expectations. There may be complications. Now keep in mind, Greg's situation is this Sage 50 Quantum Accounting. Let me explain a little bit about that for those who aren't aware of this. This accounting system that they have, they cannot reinstall it on a new computer because this was purchased quite some time ago. It's possibly long enough ago that subscriptions weren't even a thing back then. But for them to reinstall on a new computer, they're going to have to pay, he told us, I think in the chat room, about $4,000 to purchase that software. And I'm deducing they're on a very tight budget, and that's an extreme problem for the business. This is not a method that I loosely recommend for people to do. This is something that should be reserved for special situations where it's kind of really important. That being said, I am a little more liberal in using this process myself, but I don't know what consequences may appear long down the road. So far, there's been no consequences. And I've done this, I don't know, at least a dozen times, not more than 2 dozen, with various different computers, but not in no case, well, that's not true. I was about to say in no case has it been custom computers. That's not true, because I've done that to Baby Beast and I've done it to Big Beast. In Big Beast, I wound up aborting it and rebuilding from scratch. Baby Beast still has an image that was restored from a Windows 10 computer. So, yeah, I see the comment, Brian. New computer, new operating system, old obsolete software. What could go wrong? Now, another way to deal with that, probably the better, more conventional wisdom would say, buy the new license, reinstall, or switch to a different accounting program. The reason why they're using that accounting program at the time, they needed it to be able to track inventory. I think these days there are less expensive softwares than the current price of the Sage accounting suite of products, I'll say. Less expensive ways to do that. But in the day, that's probably the only thing that was available to them. And it's probably highly customized. That tends to happen among the Sage products in my limited experience with their products. But anyway, let's move on. And also to Brian's question, what could go wrong? I've had almost nothing go wrong. So take that, conventional wisdom. Preparation, manage the client's expectations. There may be complications. And I did this with my work with using these $200 B-Link computers to replace i7s and i5s. I only do that with clients who express budget concerns, and I discuss it with them. And if they decide to go down that road, I've told them there may be complications down the road. And I've got 2 clients that, well, actually 3. Well, that may be growing, that I've opted to go that way. This method is a maverick, an unconventional approach. It may be frowned upon by computer technicians worldwide. It's already happening in the chat room right now, and should only be used when there are significant challenges to more traditional methods. Test the process before committing to it or making promises. So for Greg M., and I mentioned this yesterday, test this out before committing to it, before expecting the computer you're testing it on is going to go in their office. Greg M. builds computers himself, so he probably has computers on hand that he can test this with before he even builds a client for his computer, before he builds a computer for his client. For those who don't know, I often mix up my words. You might have to figure out what I really meant. Alice, I see in chat, what document software is this? What I put on that Google Drive, it was stored as a Microsoft Word document, not OneNote that you see me using on screen here. Summary of this process: restore an image backup from the Windows 10 computer, then perform an in-place upgrade to Windows 11 on the new computer. You're welcome, Alice. That is a high-level summary, but let's get into the details because that's where the devil lives. The scroll wheel is just turbo junk. Determine the partition type. Now this is on the Windows 10, the source computer. Determine the partition type. Check if the old computer has MBR or GPT partition. Hang on. If it is MBR, then it will have to be upgraded to GPT after being restored to the new computer. You could upgrade to GPT on the old computer, but I prefer to do it on the new computer so that you keep the old computer completely functional and don't take it down for any extended period of time. Don't do anything on it that might go wrong. So that's the only reason why I say convert to GPT after restoring to the new computer. Deactivate software. Deactivate or uninstall any software specific to that computer, such as unattended remote access. So in the case of unattended remote access, when you restore that to another computer, now there's two computers out there on the internet claiming to be the same computer. So that's kind of the thought process to think about here. What do you need to deactivate or uninstall before doing this? Some software licenses may need to be deactivated before reactivating on different hardware. I don't have a situation where that commonly happens, but I have come across that where in order to activate a particular software on a new computer, you have to first deactivate the license from the old computer. If the old computer's drive crashed, then there's often extra hoops that you have to jump through to get the software company to let you reactivate on a new computer. Consider removing the computer from the Microsoft 365 account. In your Microsoft, In your Microsoft 365 account, you might have devices that are known to your account, and the old computer may be listed in there. Now, when you go to the new computer and you sign in again, I think, but I have not tested this, you'll be able to associate it with the account and the two computers still listed in devices on that account. I think may be okay, but I have not tested that piece. So that's why I'm saying consider removing the old computer from your Microsoft account. Probably should just call it Microsoft account rather than Microsoft 365. Because you could have this, even if you don't have Microsoft 365, you could be logging in with Windows to your Microsoft account. And in that case, it's the computer may be in the devices section for your Microsoft account.
Read chat, please.
Oh, I got two read chat pleases. I'm waiting for them to show up in OBS rather than switching to chat. Yeah, Ran Israel says, as long as they don't have the same computer name, it's fine. Thank you, Ran, for putting that. And that the computer name is dealt with in the target computer. No, actually, it's dealt with real soon right here. The other read chat from Jim, my data recovery software only allows an install on a single machine. I have to go online and deactivate it if I want to move it to new box hardware. So that's his data recovery software. Data recovery as in recovering accidentally deleted documents, that's not a backup software. So he's just telling us about an example of his experience of software that he has to deactivate. So let's get this chat popped out so I can display those messages for those who don't follow my reading quite so well. Ran Israel, as long as they don't have the same computer name, it's fine. Jim about his data recovery software program. Okay, moving on. Consider the computer name. Think about the computer name and any associated consequences depending upon your computer naming strategy. That may have different implementations for you. Just consider it. If you're not ready to change the computer name yet, you don't have to change the name of the source computer unless if you want the new computer to have the same name that the old computer has, Hey, Doug, why would you ever want to do that? Well, here's a possibility. Let's suppose this computer has a shared printer. Other computers on the same network use that shared printer. They connect to that shared printer by the share name of that computer name. So you might want to either change the name of the source computer, or by the time you restore the new computer, take the source computer offline. Now, commonly when I'm doing this, particularly in a testing environment, I'll do the image backup of the end user's computer at my client's office, and then I'll bring that here on a memory stick and restore it to the test computer or the target computer here in my office. And then in that case, the same computer name is fine. When I take the new computer to their office to install it, I disconnect the old computer from the network, connect the new computer to the network, and it's okay that they have the same computer name. Now, then what effect will that have on the Microsoft account? Will the Microsoft account adopt that newly built computer since it's the same computer name? I kind of doubt that. I suspect the Microsoft account is probably using, well, the Microsoft account is probably using the computer SID, but the computer SID is going to be the same. These computers will have the same computer SID. So it's possible the Microsoft account might recognize that newly built computer as the same computer. If it's using any kind of a hardware ID, then maybe not. Then on the source computer, create an image backup, make an image backup of the source computer. Now, I'm presuming if you're a technician at the level that should be pursuing this, you already know how to make an image backup. If you don't, then I would seriously question whether you ought to be pursuing this. John Williams asks a question. The Windows 10 computer is not hardware compliant to upgrade to Windows 11. Yeah, this is the reason for doing this, John, is that the client's computer for Greg M is not Windows 11 compliant. I think he told us that yesterday in chat. On the target computer, build the new computer. In his case, he's building computers. The source computer is a custom build. The new computers can be custom build. And I do not have, very rarely do I have custom build computers in my clients' offices. My experience from this procedure is only with Big Beast build and Baby Beast build. Big Beast build, there were complications, and I wound up rebuilding from scratch. Baby Beast is still using the image that I restored from a Windows 10 computer. And it was Windows 10 Home. So I also had to upgrade it in place to Windows 10 Pro and then upgrade it to Windows 11. Didn't have to, but I did. Build the new computer. Build the new computer with hardware closely compatible with the source computer. This is just an idea off the top of my head. Like, whatever your motherboard manufacturer is for the old computer, and it uses their drivers and the software that they use to keep drivers updated, I would think you're improving your chances of success if you use the same make of motherboard on the new computer. Of course, it's not going to be the same model because it has to be Windows 11 compliant, and also the same type of processor, AMD or Intel, essentially. Stay within the same processor family. If computers are OEM, I'm meaning HP, Dell, and so on, even B-Link, and I've done this with the B-Link computers, the GM Tech computers, the Aero, whatever that's called, Aero, not Aerosmith, the all-in-one PingD computer. But they're manufactured computers. They come ready to plug in and play. Brand matching is not important in my experience so far. I've been able to do this from HP to all of these other brands, and from HP to HP, from Dell to HP, and so on. I'm not certain about that one. Install Windows 10 or 11 and activate the digital license. Windows 11 can be activated with the Windows 10 license to save money. And $2 or $3 if you're using Carrie Holzman's links. Maybe $4 difference. I'm not sure what it was, but you can use a Windows 10 license to activate Windows 11 directly. Update all necessary drivers and perform all Windows updates. Next, export drivers using the command prompt as administrator to export drivers. You can copy and paste this line right here, but you will have to specify a folder name on your destination drive, wherever you're exporting these drivers to. DISM/online/export-driver/destination. The word destination is, you spell that out exactly as that's written there, colon, no space, then the drive letter where the folder is that you're going to store that on, colon, backslash, the name of the folder that you want to store that in. It's going to create a whole bunch of subfolders, and there's going to be a lot of them. It's not just the handful of drivers that you're used to installing manually. And there are spaces before each of those forward slashes. No space in front of that backslash. Disconnect the computer from the network. Disconnect the target computer from the network. That's actually optional. I don't always do that depending upon circumstances. If you're on the same local area network and they're going to have the same computer names when you do the restore, then yeah, disconnect it. Let's see, where did I don't remember mentioning environments where you should not be trying this. In domain environments, that's a whole different ball game. Don't know what you're going to be come up against. I had it in mind to write some precaution about domain environments and did not get to that apparently. I have not researched that, have not tested that environment. Don't intend to ever do it, because an office that has a domain environment,
read chat please.
This is not something you should be doing. They have money. If they have a domain environment, they have money to be able to do their computers more conventional, correct. Yeah, Ran Israel is saying in a domain environment, sysprep. Yeah, I was contemplating doing that or commenting on that as well. Sysprep is another way to accomplish moving transferring your programs from an old computer to a new computer, but you lose the specifics about the user accounts. As I understand, I think Rand is the one that provided this information, is that sysprep will retain the user accounts, but it wipes out the user profile. So you would have to recreate your preferences and configurations and content for the user profile. I think that's what he indicated previously about sysprep. I have very limited experience with sysprep. Yes, he does confirm that in chat. Now you do use the user profiles unless you back them up somehow. In Greg M's environment, he's saying he is not dealing with a domain. All right, so moving on. And Rand says, yep, about the backing up the user profiles, which makes total sense. I use Fab's Auto Backup for that. There's another product I've used for backing up user profiles too. I don't remember the name right now. Disconnect. Okay, restore image backup. I don't think I already said this. No, I didn't. Restore the image backup from the source computer to the target computer. The target computer will now have the same computer SID, security ID, as the source computer. But this does not cause issues in my experience. I have multiple computers with the same computer SID in one office. It hasn't caused any complications whatsoever. If you're using software or configuration that rely on the computer SID, this may be important. There are ways to resolve this, and I'm not going into any of those methods here, and I have not studied them in research. It's my impression that there are ways to get a new SID to a computer. The easiest way is doing Rand's method of sysprep. If you use sysprep, then the new computer is going to have a new computer SID. If there's a way to do this backup and restore and get a new computer SID, I don't know what that is. It might be out there. If anybody knows that, put a comment on this video, preferably comment, not just in chat, because people who look at this video later will be reading the comments. They're not going to read through all of the chat to see if anybody responded to this request. Or send me an email to this address with that information. I would like to know if it exists. Unlikely that I'm going to be needing it to actually use it. Verify functionality. Test to verify the target computer is functional with the activated Windows 10 from the source computer. If you skip this step, if you just go
Read
on,
chat, please.
If you just go on and finish the rest of these steps, and then you find there's a problem, you're not going to know if the problem occurred right away when you did the restore. So I recommend testing it. You might even take the computer back into the office and plug it in and even let the user work with it. I have that happening right now in one office. I did this method to go from a user's HP i7 computer to a B-Link N100 computer, and he's still on Windows 10. I have not upgraded that yet to Windows 11. It is fully Windows 11 capable, but he's been running for many months now. I think since like March of 2024 on Windows 10, and he loves it. It's never a single complaint about it. There was a read chat message. Yes, I did check. Macrim's restore to new hardware does not reset the computer SID. And it said something else about doing that. It did provide a way. I think the way in their documentation, what they use as the method to reset the computer SID is to use sysprep. So when you're doing sysprep, part of that operation is you're going to make a backup image and then restore it somewhere else. So Macrim Reflex method for changing the computer SID is to use sysprep, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure I am. Zavi says, let's turn off this. I don't agree to changing the computer name. Some programs base the license on the computer name as well. Once the system has been transferred to the new computer, the old one must be deactivated. When you said don't agree to changing the computer name, you're saying you should not change the computer name or you should change the computer name? Because it seems to me that I talked about doing it either way, depending upon your circumstances. So are you saying you should change it or should not change it? Some programs base the license on the computer name as well. So if you keep the same computer name, then your software would still work. When the system has been transferred to the new computer, the old one must be deactivated. Okay, I think you're saying here, keep the same computer name so the license will work. Once the system has been transferred to the new computer, the old computer must be deactivated and no longer connected to the internet or the computer name changed. Now, the licenses that I'm typically dealing with are Microsoft 365 licenses. So when I go to the new computer, just sign in with the new user's account. Even if it's the same user, and it will sign into that. So with Microsoft 365, that's all I need. The other softwares that we use, I can't, offhand, I'm not thinking of any where that issue applies, but certainly and depending on your circumstances, that could apply. So thank you, Zvi, for chiming in on that. Hopefully I stated your position correctly. If not, then correct me. All right, where am I at? Ah, I moved. Where was I? Restored that, the SID, verify functionality, and then change the computer name. Change the computer name if desired. In my case, I'm commonly doing that because I actually have a base image computer that's up on the top of an equipment shelf. The network switch actually has no monitor, no keyboard, no mouse connected to it. So I connect remotely to that. I do the configurations for the new user. I make an image backup to that and store that on their OneDrive and then download it here in my lab from their OneDrive to restore to the target computer.
Read chat,
So
please.
in that case, I am changing the computer name. So it depends upon your circumstances. And Zvi says my last conclusion was consistent with his statement. Understood. Oh, he says exclamation mark Y in SpeakerBot did not work. Let me go try that.
Yes, affirmative.
Yeah, it did for me. Occasionally it just fails and gives me a message on that when it happens. Yeah, I see your message did come through on StreamerBot. And then down here, is there an error? 122, is that's not today. Oh, scroll down. Oh, it's on the bottom. Yeah, this one right here, there was an error. So usually that happens when there's a problem with the specific voice that SpeakerBot randomly selected. So if it doesn't work, just try it again. The next exclamation mark Y will choose a different voice and it should work. Squirrel. Change static IP address. If the source computer had a static IP address and you want to change that before you reconnect it to the same network. I do have some offices where I have static IP addresses. Perform any other configurations to distinguish the target computer from the source computer if needed. Reconnect the target computer to the network. Reconnect the network / internet. Upgrade to Windows 11. Perform an in-place upgrade to Windows 11 at this point or in step 12. You might choose to do that in step 12. What is the difference? Well, if you do that in step 12, that means you've already performed step 11. In your testing, that's where I think you might determine that one of these might work better for you than the other. So if you don't do the upgrade here and you move on to step 11, whether you do the upgrade here or not, you're still going to perform step 11, import the drivers. In Windows 10, this is how you do it. In Windows 11, it's a different method. In Windows 11, you could use the Windows 10 method, but the Windows 11 method is much easier. So that's why you might choose to upgrade first to Windows 11. Why would you not want to upgrade to Windows 11 first? Well, if there's a significant problem because of the drivers are not right, the in-place upgrade might have a struggle. So in the Windows 10, open the command prompt as administrator. You can copy and paste this exact line without the quotes. Do not include the quotes. Do not include the quotes. And well, not quite exactly, because you have to do your drive letter and the folder name where you have those drivers stored. So this command will go through all of those subdirectories and install the drivers. If you have already performed the upgrade to Windows 11, then use the Add Drivers button in the Device Manager, point it to the folder that contains the driver subfolders. So I'm going to bring that up on Big Beast. Come down to the taskbar, right click. No, that's not what I want. Device Manager. Go to the Windows button, right click, and off screen, you can't see it as that pop-up menu. I'm opening Device Manager. And that opened on the screen that I'm broadcasting. And that is right here, Add Drivers. This Add Drivers button does not exist Windows 10. So that's why you don't do that on Windows 10. Continuing. Oh, I am over time. I was just looking at the clock to see, oh, I think I'm going to have some time left over. No, not. So if you stayed at Windows 10, then step 12 will be to perform the in-place upgrade to Windows 11 at this point, or in step 10. Configure hardware-specific programs. Perform any necessary driver installs and configurations for hardware-specific programs. I don't think I've ever had to do that, but you're in the custom build environment, so there may be things that you'll recognize that you need. Item 14, update Windows and drivers. Perform Windows and device driver updates. So that's after all of that other stuff is done. There may be more stuff that is now triggered. Probably not, because you've already had both the source and the target systems up to date. So now this might change. These steps might get edited in the next few days, resulting from comments on this video, maybe resulting from comments in the chat room. So this was a document that I typed up last night off the top of my head. So it hasn't gone through, field testing from various people yet. So now at the end, I'm going to take a look at chat. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here because I've got something else I've got to go do. Look at the oranges that I might not have caught. The Windows 10, yeah, I did catch that one and responded to it. Greg M says that software is 4 years old. And he says, yes, $4,000. Now, in the Law 40 office that I often talk about, I am using image backup and restore, but not to go from Windows 10 to Windows 11. I mentioned earlier in this video about the base image computer. It is a Windows 11 B-Link computer. So I am routinely doing image backups and restoring. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that computer is in the office and I can create the user account for the new user. And I'm taking their profile backup and their desktop icons layout from their current computer and restoring it to this base image computer. And I eventually make a image backup from there and restore it to the physical new computer for them here in my lab, and then take it out and install it. I do have one of their computers. I mentioned I've previously told you about the managing partner in that office. I did an image backup from his HP computer, restored it to a B-Link computer, and he's been using that since March. I mentioned that even during this video. There's another computer they want me to do soon.
Read chat, please.
That is the bookkeeper's computer. There's a lot of obsolete software on there, and they're a little bit eager for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and do this method of Windows 10 source computer, image backup to the new computer, upgrade to Windows 11, and put that into place. Because there's a lot of obsolete multiple versions of Quicken that they still actually want to be able to go back to. I don't think that computer has TurboTax anymore because the person at that desk doesn't do that. The phone administration system is stored on there. I don't even know where the installation software is on that. There's a few other things about that computer. So I think I'm going to be using this technique on that computer. Yeah, let's see what Gary says here. If you have a Cisco managed switch, you cannot have a new MAC address with a static IP address without making changes to the switch. Yeah, so that's another place where I think I don't think this method should be utilized at all in an enterprise environment. If you have managed switches, if you have domains, you have enough budget and you have enough, you are paying for all of your licenses. You don't have obsolete software around. This is not a method I would think would be of interest at all in an enterprise environment, in an environment where you have a managed switch. You cannot have a new MAC address with a static IP address without making changes to the switch. So you could still accomplish it if you wanted to. Gary says, after talking to my wife, we are 90% sure the Sage,
Read chat, please.
which her company converted to mini computer software, was tied to the motherboard serial number and MAC address. Sage came from Peachtree, if not mistaken. It seems to me that there is some kind of a association there. I don't know what it is. I never pay attention to the ownerships of companies. I just don't care about it whatsoever. 90% sure the Sage, which her company converted to mini computer. Now I don't think that means these mini PCs. I think that means like a Unix computer or a Xenix computer. Is that what you mean by mini computer, Gary? Was tied to the motherboard, serial number, MAC address. Sage came from Peachtree. All right. I think I've caught everything that you meant to communicate there. Greg says, I have the installation files for this Sage 50 and serial number. Going to try installing in a VirtualBox machine, see what happens. Certainly. That if you can do a native actual install, I would support and prefer that you go that way rather than this method that I've just outlined. Because I thought it was not possible for you to install the Sage 50. But the license might not activate. You put in a serial number, it might not activate. So good idea to test it. Now, if they allow only a limited number of installations, you might be burning yourself here. So if you already have the new computer built for them, or if you could do it, I would suggest maybe you would test this on the actual new target computer, because there might be a limited number of activations. John, when you end the live stream, and Porky Pig says, that's all, folks, we can hear you clearing your throat, even though the video has gone black. Thanks for the live stream. Oh, thanks for letting me know that. I should add to that Stream Deck button to mute my microphone when Porky comes on. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can change MAC address. That's not a big deal. Big Iron. Gary says, yes, I did catch what he meant. You will have deactivated the old machine first. All right. So I'll keep quiet this time. I've been routinely turning down the volume because Porky will play through, and I thought you'd be getting an echo if you're hearing my voice. All right. Tomorrow, Friday, I am planning a normal show. Oh, I have a new redirect today. Carrie Holzman did not have a show scheduled. So I have a new redirect that has never popped up on my list of potential redirects. Network Chuck and I just banter, and this is on John Hammond's channel. So, and that is at 1 p.m. today. So there you go. Something new and different. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Catch you later. Oh, I'm going to watch my grandson in the finals for wrestling today. Wish him luck. All right. Goodbye. Have a great day. Have a great Thursday. Goodbye.
That's all, folks.